welcome everyone. My name is Georgina O'Farrell, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm the head of the Communications Outreach and Engagement Unit here at the Commission for Environmental Cooperation. And I'm joining you today from Montreal, where the Secretariat of the Commission for Environmental Cooperation is located. We're situated in the unceded traditional territory of the Kanien'kehá:ka, also known as the Mohawk Nation. At the CEC, we recognize and respect Indigenous peoples as the traditional custodians of the land and waters. And we're committed to working in partnership with them to protect the environment across what we may refer to as Turtle Island or North America. As each of you join us from different locations, we invite you to take a moment to reflect on and honor the First Nations on whose territories you are situated. To start this info session, we're going to put a poll because we want to know a little bit more about where you're joining us from. So you can scan the QR code. You can go to the website slido.com with kind of the hashtag GELP, and then you can tell us where you're joining us from. And we can see that most people today are joining from Mexico. We have 27% from Canada and 9% from the US. So feel free to kind of provide your answers on this kind of Slido poll. While you're providing your answer, I will mention that this info session is being recorded and will be publicly available on the CEC website in a couple of weeks. I will also would like to mention that at the end of this info session, there will be a period of questions and answer. Please use the Q&A button at the end of the bottom of your screen to provide all your questions. We kind of left the chat open, but we please ask you to send all your questions through the Q&A button. So seeing yes, definitely a lot of people from Mexico. To start this info session, I would like just to thank you, Eleanor, just to try to know a little bit if you know the CEC. Have you heard about the CEC? So we're gonna put kind of this poll. And then while you answer, I'll present to you the agenda for today. I can see a lot of people have heard about the CEC, which is super good for us. And yeah, some of you probably just a little bit. And that's okay, because part of this info session is for you to learn more about the CEC and the work that we do on youth engagement. If you can go back to the agenda, Eleanor, just to mention to everyone what's the structure of today. We will start with a short introduction, very brief, about the CEC for all of you that don't know about the CEC. We will also do a short presentation about the GELP program, and then we'll present on the process to submit your solutions on the GELP. At the end, we will close by a 20-minute Q&A session by sharing kind of, and answering the questions that you're going to put on the Q&A button. So here again, kind of the agenda, a little bit about the CEC, the GELP, the submission process, which I'm pretty sure most of you are kind of joining us to learn more about this process. And definitely we want to open the space for you to ask any questions that you have about this program. As we could see, like some of you didn't know about the CEC. So just want to mention that the Commission for Environmental Cooperation is a tri-national organization which its secretariat is based in Montreal. The CEC, as we know, the Commission for Environmental Cooperation, facilitates cooperation and public participation to conserve, protect, and enhance the North American environment for the benefit of the present and future generations. As we can see in this slide, the CEC is composed of 3 constituent bodies. The Council, which is represented by the highest level environmental authorities from Canada, Mexico, and the United States. More specifically, we're talking about the Ministries of the Environment in the 3 countries: Environment and Climate Change Canada, here in Canada, Semarnat in Mexico, and the Environmental Protection Agency in the US. It's with them with whom can we work here at the CEC. We also have the Joint Public Advisory Committee, the JPAC, which is a public arm of the CEC, and the Secretariat, which I'm representing today, based in Montreal, and we have, around 50 people working in the Secretariat. Every year, the highest level environmental authorities meet in our council session. They are our council. So they meet and they engage with the public and discuss different environmental matters. This council session rotates in each one of the countries. So next year, in 2026, we're going to be able to host the council session in Ottawa, in Canada. During the summer, the dates are still going to be confirmed. But just stay in tune. This is a very interesting event where you can join the trinational discussions. To mention that the CEC, as you can imagine, North America and the different environmental topics that we can address, we work on almost, or we have worked over the years on almost any topic related to the environment. We can start kind of talking about the food loss and waste. We work with circular economy, air pollution. We have had throughout kind of these 32 years, many projects. And as part of the efforts of the CEC has committed to youth engagement. Just recently, the CEC developed a youth engagement strategy, which aims to reach youth across North America, to foster their engagement, and to create an intergenerational network. Some of the CEC's efforts include strengthening our internship program at the CEC. We want to learn and kind of benefit from the expertise of young experts. Also, we have our yearly Youth Engagement Week, which is this event we do every year to try to foster a meaningful youth engagement. And certainly, we have the Generation of Environmental Leaders program, the GELP, which is a mentorship program, which I'm not going to go into more detail because, my colleagues will do that. But it is one of the programs where we really try to kind of engage with more youth and help them to strengthen their solutions. With all of that, just a reminder, there's interpretation. Go at the bottom of your screen to select your language, Spanish or French. And the Q&A, please send all your questions through the Q&A. We're going to try to answer all of them, either writing the answer or at the end of the session when we have the Q&A period. And with all of that, I'll just pass it on to Julie and Eleanor so they can walk you through the next steps of this agenda. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, Georgina, and thank you, everyone, for joining. A warm welcome. My name is Julie Amina Jacquemin. I use the pronouns she, her. I'm lead outreach partnerships and youth engagement at the CEC. And I have the pleasure, along with my colleagues, of leading the GELP. I'd like to start by thanking you all for joining us today and submitting also questions in advance. Thank you, Eleanor. So to showcase the next poll, so we have a poll here. Once again, we want to know what you'd like to learn more about today. So please feel free just to answer, and we'll make sure to have a focus on, what is most of interest for you. You have a few options there. You have eligibility and evaluation criteria, the mentorship program, the application platform, the networking, the seed funding. So feel free to just scan this QR code and then you'll be taken to the poll. You can also, if you go back to the chat, you'll see that you have the poll links to actually participate. Each of these topics will, of course, be actually mentioned, and we'll go over each one of them during the presentation, but feel free to just tell us what you're the most interested in. And thank you, Eleanor. I see that it's working now, so we understand that the deficit funding is one of the most interesting topics for you, but also the criteria. And then we have a bit down the mentorship program, the networking, and the application platform. So we'll try to give you the most information on seed funding and eligibility and evaluation criteria, and of course all the rest too. Thank you, Eleanor, for sharing the poll. Now we can go to the GELP, actually, to tell you a little bit more about what it is. So The GELP is a mentorship program. It's one, as Georgina mentioned, it's one of CEC's flagship youth activity. It's pretty young. It was created in 2024 along with the new youth engagement strategy. And the idea was really to offer support to North American youth in the three countries. So it's kind of a collaborative initiative because it involves the secretariat, but also the parties that Georgina mentioned, but also our network, the CEC network and our collaborators. So we, the secretariat, manage it, but the parties are involved in the selection, in evaluation. They open a space at the council session for the selected teams. And so Georgina mentioned the next one is in Ottawa. So make sure to have a visa if you're not resident of Canada to come. And so that's really a collaboration between Secretariat, the council, and also all our network. So as Georgina mentioned, also this annual council session, the two team representative per solution will be invited to it. And the ministers are really excited to meet the youth. The GELP presentation is one of the key moments of the council session. So make sure that you're available. It's not mandatory, but it would be a great miss if you could not be available to participate in the council session if you're one of the selected teams. Also, so you know the everything related to transportation, lodging, air transfer expenses, stipend is, of course, taken care of by the CEC for you to participate in the council session. As I mentioned also, so the CEC collaborators are also involved in the GELP in a way that if your solution align with one of CEC project, we make sure that you can extend your network to actually meet people working on similar topics, expand your network. Some of them also participate in the evaluation process actually and help us find the best solutions in North America. So you see that it's a team effort there. And we can go to the next slide. Thank you, Eleona. So as written here, and as most of you know, this program is designed to support teams of youth leaders between 18 to 35. So if you're under 36, it's okay. At the moment you apply. If you're 35 and three quarter, you still can apply. But it has to be at least two persons, two youth leaders that apply to be able to be eligible to the GELP, and you have to currently reside in Canada, Mexico, the United States. You don't have to be a citizen of the country, but you have to reside, and you will see that Eleonora will show you a little bit about the platform that you'll need to provide proofs of age and residence to be eligible. As most of you already know too, I guess, the goal is really to support you, to support young people to develop a solution that supports North American communities and help preserve our shared waters, lands, and air. What we mean by that is that your solution doesn't have to be a project that already exists. And you will see in the platform that we identify different stage in which your solution can be. It could be ideation, it could be early stage, it could be a full-on ongoing solution project, but you wish to enhance it. And also, it doesn't have to be, of course, in the three countries. The idea is to support your community in your context, but it has to be a community in the three countries, either in Canada, either in Mexico, or either in the US. And if it's a communities or two communities that are both, I don't know, in the US and Canada, it works as well. But we don't request of you to actually work in the three countries because also we want it to be really contextual to an issue you identified and the community you want to support. The topic, as you can see, also is wide. So preserving our shared waters, lands, and air. As Georgina mentioned, and most of you might know, the CEC's work is really wide. We work on everything related to the environment that the three countries want to cooperate on. So, as also Georgina mentioned, example of solutions we had in the past were on ecosystem conservation, circular economy, renewable energy, and much more. So, really, everything related to the environment that actually is linked to the CEC pillars that Eleanor will mention a little bit later. So to be eligible, as a recap, you must be a youth-led team. Doesn't have to be a formal organization. It can be just two people deciding to team up to develop a solution or to work on a solution for the environment. So it could be an organization, an association, just two people working together, a youth-led NGO, a non-for-profit, innovator, entrepreneurs. Really, it's really wide and open. You must be between 18 and 35, below 36-year-old when you apply, and you have to reside in Canada, Mexico, and or the US at the time of the submission. Next slide, please, Nat. I don't know. So, also as mentioned, the two team representatives that apply will be invited to take part in the program if they're selected. So it's one team per country that will be selected. We'll go over that in the next slide. So you'll be invited to take part in a year-long mentorship. You'll have two wonderful mentors that we have been working with for the past few years. They have deep knowledge in entrepreneurship, community engagement, and supporting youth developing their project. It's approximately 10 sessions throughout the year, including two sessions held in person in Canada during the council session. The remaining will be held online and will try to align, of course, your schedule with the schedule of the mentors to make sure you can participate in all of them. Participating in the mentorship session is the mandatory. So you really, because it's the core of the GELP. You'll also see that year after year, we develop and enhance our mentorship. So you'll have tools, you have personalized mentorship sessions, but you also get to network with other applicants because since a few years, we've been opening the workshops to the top 5 applicants. So then you get to meet them, know more about the project, and also some application we receive, you work on similar topic in different regions, in different countries, and it could be really interesting for you to actually, develop your knowledge community on the specific topic you're working on. And also, for those who are not selected, it means that you still get to have a chance to receive some support and to connect also with the CEC and with the other teams, the selected teams. You'll also receive, as part of the mentorship, a GELP journey map, which is a guide designed to help you navigate the structure of the program with key information. You'll have templates, you'll have the goals, the key takeaways of the mentorship experience. So this is also a document that will help you navigate the mentorship. You'll also have a lot of information on the commitments of the program and the deliverables. Important to note, and also it's a plus, at the end of the mentorship program, you'll need to develop a tool which you use to apply the knowledge acquired throughout the mentorship. It can be something super simple, like a one-pager. It can be a budget, a tool that you use for your budget. It could be a tool that you use for outreach. We have actually a team this year that's writing a book. So they decide to do that within the program, a book about environmental conservation, ecosystem conservation. And so this will be the tool they share with everyone as an example of what you can do with the mentorship. As part of the networking opportunities, so you'll be invited to the council session. Council session is a great place to network because yes, there's the governmental representative, but there's also hundreds of other participants that work in different sectors and that could be linked to your solutions. So it's also a great way to meet people and to get your project known by the most people possible. The networking will also be applied by the fact that we will highlight your work not only in social media, but also when we organize activities in person and if the topic is related to your work. So the networking is wider than only the consult session. And in the end, I know that it's the thing that you're most interested in. And for the seed funding of 15,000 Canadian dollar, it speaks for itself. It's a seed funding. You'll receive half at the beginning and the other half at 6 months after the mentorship. Once you'll see that you'll have to send us mid-term, we can say reports. So once you do that, you receive the other half. And it can be used for a lot of things, but it has to be used for your solution and nothing else. So it's not super strict, but in the end, at the end of the program, you'll have to show us that you used it for the solution and the development of your solutions. So this also, if you have more additional questions on the seed funding, feel free just to ask them in the Q&A. So to recap, each year, one team from each country is selected for the program, but the top 5 applicants will have access to some of the mentorship session. Oh, and sorry, Elena, if you could please change the slide. The topic of the sessions are on project management and development, including presenting a solution to governmental representative and other audiences, budget planning, mission and vision statement, how to get funding, how to do outreach, many different topics. And you'll receive a seed funding of 15,000 Canadian dollars. Finally, important, and Eleona, if you could please change the slide one last time for me. The deadline is the 1st of February 2026 at midnight your local time. Applications are submitted through our online platform that Eleonore will go through. There are specific criteria that Eleonore will go through. Please check the guidelines and visit our webpage for the most details. There's a lot of details and you'll find a lot of information there. And also just to mention for once you submit your solution, there'll be an evaluation. So the different part there of the evaluation is that first internally we make sure that you're eligible. Then there's an external panel that evaluates your solution. And in the end, the top 15 submissions, 5 per country, are sent to the parties, to the 3 countries for final selection. So it's a representative from Environment and Climate Change Canada, EPA in Environmental Protection Agency, the United States, and Semarnat, the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources in Mexico, that will select the final selected team. You'll receive news from us in April 2026. So we'll tell you if you're selected, if you're part of the top 5, and also if you weren't selected or part of the top 5 applicants. You will be notified by email. So thank you for your attention and engagement. Looking forward to receive your question and happy to answer them in a few minutes. Now I'll pass the floor to Eleanor for her to tell you more about the platform and the criteria. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. So I'm going to walk you through the submission process, and then I'm going to explain about the evaluation criteria. So the first step to apply is to access the GELP webpage in your preferred language. So here you can see the 3 URLs in English, Spanish, and French. So once you access the webpage, you can either click on the Apply Now button that you're going to see on the first section, or you can also scroll down. And as you scroll down, you're going to find some information regarding the GELP, including what the program offers, the evaluation criteria, and some instructions on how to apply. When you reach the bottom, you're going to see this button over here in blue that says Apply Here, which you'll need to click. So once you click that button, you're going to be taken to the guidelines. These are the 2026 GELP guidelines, which we strongly encourage you to read because they contain all the information that you need to take part in this program. When you reach the bottom of this document over here, you're going to find this other button that says click here to apply. So this is going to take you to the submission platform, which is this one. So this is the online portal, and if you've never created an account before, the first thing you'll need to do is to create an account by clicking the white button, which is this one. If you've created an account before, then you can access directly using the email address and the password. When you click on create an account, you're going to be taken to this registration form, which you will need to fill out. Only one person per team needs to create an account by completing this form, and you'll need to fill out all the required fields, which are the ones that are marked with an asterisk. Here we ask that you make sure to enter an email address that you check frequently because, as Julie mentioned, we're going to use this email address to contact you regarding your submission. So it needs to be one that you use frequently. And then once you finish filling out all the fields in this form, you'll need to click this button over here that says Next. And this will prompt you to create and confirm your password. So as with any password, we recommend that you create one that you can remember because you're going to need it to access the platform and to keep filling out your form. So after you filling out these two boxes with the same password, you need to click on the button over here that says Create Account. Then after clicking that, you'll be taken to this screen over here. And then to finalize the registration process, you'll need to look for a confirmation email in your inbox from CEC, CCA, CCE, which is the acronym of the Commission in 3 languages. And then once you verify that you actually received this email, then you can click on I have received the email box and then click Continue. Then when you get this far, you'll already have your account, and all you'll need to do is enter that email address that you used and that password that you created, and then click on Log On. And this is how you'll be able to access the submission platform from now on. And then you're going to be taken to this page where you will access the application form in your preferred language. For this, you click on Apply, and then you'll be able to see the application form, which is available in the 3 languages, in English, French, and Spanish. So you will also be able to preview the form. Just please make sure you don't fill out the form in the preview mode because you won't be able to submit it. Once you are ready to start filling out the application form, simply click Apply, and please make sure that you click the Apply button for your preferred language. So this button is in English only, but the application form is available in all 3 languages. So this is what the application form looks like. And as you can see, it is divided into several sections. I'll briefly describe each one of you. So the guidelines section simply asks you to acknowledge that you have read the GELP guidelines. Then we have the title section. Here you will enter a title for your solution or your project. You won't be evaluated based on the title of your solution, but we do recommend that you come up with a brief title that is catchy and that reflects the essence of your project or solution. Then we have the organization section where you will be asked to provide the name of your youth-led organization or team, as well as a brief description of it and the names of all the members in your team or organization. So this is just for us to get to know your organization better, to know how many team members there are, and just what your objectives as an organization or team are. Then these following two sections will ask you to enter some information of the two team members that will be representing your solution. So as Julie mentioned before, both persons will need to comply with all the eligibility requirements, including the age and country of residence, and they will both be invited to attend the CEC Council session in Ottawa next year and take part in all the mentorship sessions and networking opportunities, of course. Next, we will move on to the fun part, which is actually describing what your solution is. So in this section, which is the solution section, you'll be asked to briefly describe what your solution is. And please consider that this will be the first time that evaluators will actually hear about your solution. So we recommend that you are as clear as possible in your description. And here you will also be asked to indicate the implementation stage that your solution is in, but you won't be evaluated based on this. Then the next few sections are related to the evaluation criteria. Your solution will be evaluated based on your answers here. So I will go a little bit more in depth regarding the evaluation criteria in a few minutes. But this is where you will be answering several questions about your solution. Next, as previously mentioned, both team members will be invited to attend the upcoming council session in Ottawa. So this section will ask you to confirm your availability to attend. And here you will also be asked about the mentorship topics that you would like to receive training on during the mentorship sessions, if your solution is selected. And then lastly, we have the file upload section. Here you will need to provide some documentation, including your proof of age and proof of residence for both team members, as well as some team photos that could potentially be used for promotional purposes if your solution is selected. And regarding these photos, we ask that you try and upload high resolution photos if possible. So in this section, you'll also get a chance to upload any supporting materials related to your solution that you would like to share. These could include schematics, prototype designs, videos, some additional photos, presentations, documents, just anything that could potentially help illustrate your solution. However, we would like you to please note that you will not be evaluated based on what you upload in this section. So your solution should be well explained in the criteria sections. Also, we know that it might take some time to fill out the entire application form, which is why you have the option of saving it and continue editing later. You can do this by clicking on Save Application. And then when you are ready to submit your solution, simply click on Submit Application. So those are the two options that you have once you fill out the application. We also ask that you please be careful not to click the Submit Application button if you haven't completed your application yet. However, if an accident occurs and you happen to click it, you can simply email us at youth@cec.org, and we can help you out to reopen your application form. If you save your application, you can always click the Home button over here. And this will take you to this screen. And to continue editing your application, simply click on Continue. And This was the submission process. If you encounter any technical issues or have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us at youth@cec.org, and we will be very happy to help you out. Now, I'm going to give you an overview of the evaluation criteria that will be used to evaluate solutions. So there are 5 criteria that will be used. And as you can see here, each criterion is worth a certain percentage of the final score. And as you can see, the criterion that is worth the most is impact and community engagement. So we are really interested in supporting solutions that can potentially have or that are currently having an impact in North American communities, which is why when filling out this section in the application form, you will be asked questions regarding how you will engage or integrate and impact community members through your solution and how you will measure this impact. Then we have feasibility, which is another big part of the evaluation. And this criterion basically has to do with how realistic and achievable your solution is. So you will be asked to answer questions regarding the resources currently available to you or that you will need to implement your solution and how you plan to manage those resources, as well as your envisioned timeline to achieve your objectives. Then we have alignment with the CEC strategic pillars and the program theme. So we are interested in supporting solutions that are somewhat linked to the CEC's work, which is why there's a criterion that will evaluate the alignment of your solution with the CEC strategic pillars and the program theme. You can find the strategic pillars in a link that is being shared right now on the chat. And just please note that your solution doesn't need to be aligned with all of the strategic pillars. That would be very hard. So as long as it's aligned with at least one of them and the program theme, then you're on the right track. And as a reminder, the program theme is Act Now to support North American communities and preserve our shared waters, lands, and air. Then criterion number 4 is pretty straightforward. It relates to how clearly you can identify and describe the issue or problem that your solution is addressing or will address. And then finally, the last criterion has to do with innovation. So for this criterion, you will be asked to describe how your solution is different from current solutions. And also regarding this criterion, we would like you to know that we have a pretty broad definition of what innovation looks like. So it can look like new technical solutions or circular economy initiatives, the use of traditional ecological knowledge, nature-based solutions, community engagement, or even environmental education initiatives, among many other possibilities. So this was the overview of the 5 criteria that will be used to evaluate your solutions. And we encourage you to read the GELP guidelines to learn about these criteria and in more detail. And you can always email us at youth@cec.org if you have any questions regarding the evaluation criteria. So now we're going to move on to the Q&A part of this info session. Please place your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen.
Thank you, Eleanor, and thank you, everyone. Maybe I see that was one, so Eleanor and I will be answering your questions from the Q&A button. I see that there's someone, Stéphane Lamana. I'm going to be answering the questions in French and English, and Eleonor the one in Spanish, except if it's something too technical on the platform. And then Eleonor is the magician on that, so she'll answer those too. So maybe the first question I see there is Stéphane asking, I'm translating it because it's in French. asking they're above 35-year-old, but they want to support their program, how they can be supportive. Could they be a mentor? Could they share their knowledge? Actually, Stefan, so the mentors are actually already booked. It's the same mentors. We have a really set mentorship with actual theme, but we always try to find a way for the teams to connect with a variety of factors from, that works in fields related to what they work on. So I see there that you have a lot of knowledge in resilience, agricultural resilience. So I'm thinking, feel free to send us an email at use@cc.org and just tell a little bit more about your profile, and then we'll see if we have an applicant that has the same profile as you. We could just match the two of you so that you get to chat on a related topic and share knowledge. I think it would be a great way for you to contribute to the GELP. Thank you. I think the next question is for Eleonor, and it's in Spanish. That's what I mean.
So I'm going to switch to Spanish. Veo aquí unas preguntas. Una parte del capital
I can see
semilla
a
se
few
puede
questions.
ocupar
Part
como
of the
apoyo
seed
para
funding can be
transporte,
used
comida y
as
los refrigerados del
support
equipo.
for travel and
Siempre y
lodging,
cuando
as well
sea
as a
para
stipend.
actividades relacionadas
Yes,
con el,
as long as it's
con
for
el proyecto.
activities
Por
related
ejemplo, si van a
with
ir
the
a dar un
project. For
taller a una
example, if
comunidad,
you're teaching a workshop
pues
in
sí
a
podrían
community,
meter eso como
yes, that could
viáticos
be
para
included
los
as
mismos
a
gastos
travel
de este
allowance
taller.
and expenses regarding the
Entonces, sería
workshop.
posible en ese caso, por
So
ejemplo.
that would be possible, for example.
También hay otra pregunta, se
That
necesita
would fall
tener
under
una
the seed
organización o
capital
asociación formal
expenditure.
para recibir
Second
el capital
question,
semilla.
do we need to be
No
an
es
official
necesario tener
organization
una
to receive the seed
organización formal.
capital? No, it's not
Simplemente
necessary
uno
to
de
be
los
formalized
dos
as an
miembros del
organization,
equipo que van a
but one
representar el proyecto
of the two
va a ser
members
quien va a tener que
representing your
recibir el
team
capital
will be
semilla
the
a nombre de
one
su
that will
equipo.
receive that seed funding on behalf of the team.
Hay otra pregunta, si
We
en
have
mi
another
organización también
question.
hay gente mayor de
If I
35,
have people older
¿tengo que
than
ponerlos
35
o
in my
todos los que
organization, do
cumplan
I
con
have
el
to
rango?
name them or only those that fall
Pueden mencionarlos en la
within the age range?
sección en
You can
donde
mention those team
van a
members in
mencionar
the
el nombre de su
section where you will
organización,
be naming your
pero sí es
organization,
importante que las
but
dos
it is
personas que
important to
representen al
make sure
equipo
that the two
sí
people
cumplan con el
representing your
rango
team
tanto de edad
do meet
como
the
con
age requirement as
que
well
vivan
as the
actualmente en América del Sur, en
residency
uno de los tres países.
requirement, which means that they need to be current residents of one of the three
Thank
North
you,
American
Eleonor. And
countries.
I'll answer the one in English that I see there. If I work for an organization where the director is not used, but the whole team working on the project is, could you apply? You can definitely apply. So the idea is to have at least, as Eleanor mentioned in Spanish right now, just two team representatives that actually comply with the eligibility criteria. But note that also we favor youth-led teams. So, and we want to promote youth that are actually have decision-making power within an organization. So we'll also check if you comply with what we will, we want this funding to go to use that actually don't have the chance to usually get those kind of funding because they cannot set up in an organization, whereas a more organization that is not used there, that are access to other grants will be less probably would have less chance to actually receive the funding because you could apply with to other types of grants that actually are more set for organizations that are pre-existing for a long time. So yes, you can definitely apply, but you have to demonstrate also what's your role and the fact that it's really you leading the solution and you're not applying on behalf of the director and the rest of the organization. Another question popped up for you, Georgina. Eleonora, sorry.
Hay otra pregunta aquí acerca de si pueden aplicar
We have
como
another
FOSEN, que es
question
una
about being
institución
able
no
to
gubernamental.
apply as an
Va un poco
NGO or
relacionada a la
FOSEN in
pregunta que acaba de
Spanish, and it
responder
relates
Julie,
to what Julie just
siempre y cuando
answered.
haya
You
dos
can apply
representantes
as long as
jóvenes
we
que
have
cumplan
two
con todos los
young
criterios de elegibilidad
representatives that meet all the
y que
eligibility
demuestren que
criteria, including the age
realmente tienen
criterion,
un
and that
papel
can prove that they do play
importante
a
dentro de la organización
significant role
y
within the
que
organization,
realizan trabajo dentro de la organización,
and that
sí
they
podrían aplicar
do
no
that
como
sort of work in
no
the
como FOSEN,
organization. So
sino
you can
estas dos
apply not
personas
as a FOSEM, but
representarían a FOSEN
the two
y pueden
representatives
mencionar en la
would
parte de
represent that
administración a
FOSEM,
los al
and
resto de los
you can
miembros del equipo,
mention
pero
or
estas
you
dos
can name
personas
the rest of
también
your team
tienen
members.
presentarían el
But
proyecto
we
en
do
la
need to
sesión de
have the two
consejo y
representatives that would present the project
participarían en
during the
las
council
sesiones
session
de mentoría.
and participate in our mentorship sessions.
I think if I may add on what Eleanor just said also, please note that it's a mentorship program for youth. It's not only seed funding. So if you're not youth or if the rest of the organization is not youth, just take in mind that the idea is for youth not only to receive seed funding for the project, but also to receive the mentorship. So also this is important to just remember while applying that you have to showcase also that you actually benefit from the mentorship program. So the question will be asked, and that it's not only the seed funding that will help for your project, but that you need the outreach, you need the seed funding and the mentorship and the capacity building that we offer. And I think there's two other questions in Spanish for Elena.
Hay una pregunta, si apliqué a otra
We have
convocatoria
a
de la
question
CCA, ¿puedo
if I
participar en
have
esta?
applied for another
Sí, hay
CEC
algunas
project, can I still
excepciones, por ejemplo,
participate?
si han
Yes, but
sido
we have a
parte
few
del desafío
restrictions. For
feminista de
example,
innovación,
if
si
you
ya han
were
recibido,
part of the
si ya han ganado
Youth
este
Innovation
programa
Challenge,
dentro
or
de
if you've
la
been previous
Comisión de
winners
Política Ambiental,
under the GELP,
pero si han
you
aplicado a
might not be
otros,
able to take part. But if you
pueden
have
igual
applied
aplicar a
for
este,
other
sin ningún
programs,
problema.
you may apply
Y
for this one.
cualquier pregunta que tengamos la mandamos
Any
al
other
correo que nos
question
compartieron.
can be sent
Claro
to
que sí,
that
cualquier
email.
pregunta que
Yes,
tengan
any
pueden mandarla
question
al correo
can be sent to the email youth@cec.org.
Ahorita volvemos a ponerlo en el chat.
We will type that in the chat
O también pueden hacer sus
again,
preguntas por acá.
or feel free
Eso
to ask
es
your
la
questions
plática.
here. That's what this session is for.
Llegó otra pregunta de Eligio. Las
We have another
organizaciones
question
proponentes
from
deben ser
Eligia.
legalmente constituidos y su
Eligio,
presencia es
do
segura. No es
applicants need
necesario
to
que estén
be
legalmente constituidos.
legally constituted, legally incorporated?
Simplemente
Not
buscamos apoyar
necessarily.
equipos
We
o
just
organizaciones, aunque no
seek
estén
to
legalmente
support
constituidas,
organizations or
pero que
teams
demuestren que
that
son
may
lideradas
not
por el grupo, que son
necessarily
jóvenes
be
quienes
legally
están
incorporated,
llevando
but
el
that are
proyecto.
led by young people and that they are the ones implementing the project.
Para las sesiones de consejo, asistirán
For
los
the
que hayan
council
sido
session,
seleccionados y en el caso de los
will the
requisitos de
selected
viaje como
teams
visa o
assist? And
pasaporte, nos
what
ayudan en los
happens with
trámites.
travel
Soy
requirements
Meli.
like visa or passports?
Para la
Do we
sesión
receive
de
support
consejo que se
with
llevará
the
a cabo en
paperwork?
Ottawa, asistirían
Well,
las dos
for the
personas
council session in
representantes del
Ottawa,
equipo.
we
Ambas
would
estarían
invite
invitadas
the two
a asistir.
team
En el caso de los
representatives. Both are
requisitos de
invited to
viaje,
assist. When it comes to travel
cada equipo,
requirements,
cada miembro del equipo es
each team
responsable
member
de
is
realizar los
responsible
trámites
for their own
necesarios.
paperwork for passports and visas.
If I may add also just on that, Eleanor, and so it's in English, but we can provide with a letter of invitation, of course, so that you have that to pass the border once you have your visa. But the visa itself and the passport, it's on your side to do. We can support with that.
Gracias, Julie. La fecha límite es el 1
The
de
due
febrero de
date is
2026
February 1st,
a las
2026
11:59
at
p.m.
11:59
su hora
p.m.
local,
of your
dependiendo de
local
dónde estén.
time,
A esa hora
depending on
es
where
que
you are.
cierran
That is the due date. That is
la
the
plataforma.
closing time on the platform.
Thank you, everyone. I'm wondering if there is additional questions. If not, we will let Georgina say a few words to close off this webinar. And then feel free also to contact us. You have our contact, you have the webpage, you have the guidelines. But I'll let Georgina say a few words, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining, for sending your questions. As you can see, everything is in the guidelines. So we really ask you to go through the guidelines. If there's anything that you don't think, is clear enough, please contact us at the email youth@cec.org. This program is for you. It's for youth. And as Julie mentioned, it's a mentorship program. It's a value of 1 year of mentorship to really strengthen the solutions. For the CEC, this is a very important program. We do want to give youth the right tools for them to succeed in their solutions to protect our North American environment. It has been very nice to see all of your questions. And I think for the CEC, we will look forward to receive all your submissions by the 1st of February. And as Julie mentioned, the council session where the selected teams are presenting to the council members and to the public. It's an amazing opportunity, not only to present to these higher grade of officials, but definitely to network, to make connections, to kind of learn more about the CEC, to connect with the CEC and all our colleagues. So we invite you to submit your proposal, read through the guidelines. If you have questions, send your questions. And just, we're going to put a link to a survey in the chat. We please ask you, your feedback is very important for us. Also, we're going to put in here a QR code for the survey. We just want to kind of make better these info sessions and to keep kind of helping you achieve your goals. So thank you very much, everyone. We'll keep checking the chat. I think there's no more questions. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and have an amazing weekend.